You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for the week of November 21st, 2025. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where, as you can hear, there's a lot of construction going on. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal.
It's true. On the political right, in the political center, and in the legacy media, it is Infrastructure Week. And what kind of infrastructure are they all building? Lifeboats.
Yeah, baby.
Lots and lots of lifeboats.
Yeah.
We wish it weren't so. We wish that among Republicans in office and Republicans next door, there still existed a shred of decency that could be reached.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side.
Thank you, Senator Murphy.
Yes, thank you, Senator Murphy.
But that's probably not going to happen. Republicans have gone too far down the rat hole. They've celebrated sadism and idiocy too openly to reverse course now. Instead, as happened after the Bush administration, there's going to be a huge market for instant, ouchless redemption, what we call cheap grace. Lifeboats that can carry the scum away from the aftermath of their villainy without ever having to admit they did anything wrong. So, seems only fair that since we roughed up Christianity a bit during the last episode, today we're going to abuse a couple of Buddhist concepts. Equal opportunity offender. Specifically, Theravada Buddhism versus Mahayana Buddhism. The small vehicle or little boat versus the great vehicle or the big boat. But the contrast between a big boat and a little boat is where all similarity ends. In Buddhism, the little boat is about individual enlightenment, the individual's search for nirvana. The big boat is about achieving universal nirvana for all sentient creatures. However, in the world of media and political sycophants and collaborators, lifeboat building is about avoidance, dodging, running away. How do I kill the public record of my own past? How do I get rid of that Trump tramp stamp without incurring the wrath of the MAGA mob?
In both big lifeboat building and little lifeboat building, those who are trying to escape righteous judgment for their iniquities can't do it alone. If you're trying to dine and dash away from responsibility, it's not enough to just declare your innocence or independence, if you will, that you were never there, you never saw anything, that...
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
To get away with it, you need validators. You need someone with some shred of credibility with their audience to either vouch for you explicitly or let you get away with whitewashing your past without pushing back.
That's very true, Blue Gal. And as history has shown, the worst, sleaziest people in politics and in the media can get their reputation rehabilitated if they travel in the right circles and have the right friends who work for the right media corporations. Now consider this from Phil Jimenez on Blue Sky. Phil is an artist and storyteller at DC and Marvel. At least that's my understanding. Quote, I don't think most White House reporters know how poorly history is going to record them and the cowardice and negligence with which they did their jobs, unquote. Now, to be clear, we understand that sentiment and how we wish it were true because except possibly for the genre of film noir, our culture constantly sends the message that justice will eventually prevail. Truth, justice, and the American way. It might come in the courtroom, that'd be great, or when the courts fail, when the cops fail, it might come from John Wick, or it might come from Batman, or it might come from The Punisher. But sooner or later it will come. This is Nelson Mandela walking free eventually. But it's also Biff Tannen getting decked by George McFly, or the actor William Zabka being put in his place in both, mind you, both The Karate Kid and Back to School. But when we see, time after time, terrible people winning, terrible people getting away with murder, that kind of appeal to history seems pretty naive, especially to those of us who've been to this rodeo more than once. Because we tried, we really, really tried. But once the Iraq War went tits up and the Bush administration effectively collapsed, America's most powerful institutions were faced with a choice, Blue Gal.
Yeah. Option one was actually letting justice prevail, which would mean implicating the entire Republican Party all the way down to the grassroots and almost the entire legacy media for their complicity in believing in weapons of mass destruction or every excuse that the Bush administration made for the Iraq War.
Yeah, and pile on top of that Katrina, Terry Schiavo, and all the rest of it, all of it. So that was option one. Option number two was the Peggy Noonan Protocol, in which no one is held responsible and we just keep walking, Blue Gal.
Oh, I have reservations about all this. It's hard for me to look at a great nation issuing these documents and sending them out to the world and thinking, oh, much good will come of that. Sometimes in life you want to just keep walking. History has changed. It does change. We have a new administration, a new way. Sometimes I think just keep walking. Don't always be issuing papers and reports.
Held accountable. Let people walk who may have committed a crime. I don't know.
But stop it. But stop the techniques. I mean, anybody.
Some of life has to be mysterious.
Yes, some of life has to be mysterious, says Peggy Noonan about Abu Ghraib back in 2009. Thank you very much to Crooks and Liars for their extensive video archives. That's right. I didn't find this anywhere else, but I found it at Crooks and Liars, Blue.
Yeah. And that is the value of Crooks and Liars, to have stuff like that. I found this week a video also from 2009 of Keith Olbermann smashing into a senator on health care. Can you guess which senator it was?
I saw something from that period. Who was it?
It was John Thune.
That's right. That's right. He went down a whole list of villains. He really did.
Yeah, and he started by hammering John Thune on his fake notions of what healthcare was.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed.
Nothing.
Except, Keith Olbermann's with his dogs now instead of with, Olivia Nutsy or whatever. That's the whole thing we don't have time to talk about.
No, we're not going to do an Elizabeth Nosy podcast.
No, we're not. But look, between letting justice prevail and the Peggy Noonan Protocol, guess which option the American political and media establishment chose?
Oh, I know.
We all know.
Call me Blue Gal.
Now, this was Oliver Willis's reply. And Oliver Willis is another old soldier in this battle, like we are. And this was his reply to Phil Jimenez. Quote, "We said the same thing during the Iraq War, and then they just rewrote history and everyone gave them a pass." Unquote. Now, if we can just chat for a minute, Driftglass, because I have noticed a change in the Democratic base and in social media. And I hope we have something to do with this. I don't take full credit in any way.
I do.
But we certainly are one of the groups of people shouting from the mountaintops about FAFO and not, no forgiveness for these people that voted for Trump 3 times. And I hear it a lot on social media that, I've already separated from my family over Trump. I'm not about to let someone who had a Trump flag hanging off the back of their truck for 10 years say they're an independent to my face. So, what happened? We have no control over what happens at MS Now.
That's right. Nor at Washington Post.
Right.
Or
New York
CBS
Times,
News.
New York fucking Times, CBS News. Right.
Yeah.
So we can call it out, though, and we can make a lot of noise about it and hopefully pick up some many things we've done have picked up traction. Both sides don't.
Absolutely true.
And we're not alone. I think that Oliver Willis showed today.
Oh, yeah.
We're not alone in saying, look, you're not going to be able to rebrand into some brand new political movement, and we're not going to pretend.
Yeah.
I'm on the lookout for purple parties and airsats tea parties.
They're coming. Guarantee you they're coming.
And that was the biggest, to me, that was the biggest manufacture of Lifeboat, was the media pretending that the Tea Party was brand new people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And we are just not going we are going to be looking at those people that show up on the news as a brand new political movement. And we're going to be going back and looking for their tweets. We're going to be back looking at their Facebook, and it's going to be just like the J6ers. You know, we're going to be showing them
right
wearing Trump flags and Trump hats and whatever else. And you don't get away from going from MAGA hat to I never knew.
I would say you don't get away with us. You don't get away with us pretending that to us. We will. But I still have a very dark faith in the willingness of way too many people to just forget, to just negate it.
Because look at COVID.
Well, COVID was the reaction to COVID was a very partisan matter and very well documented. The existence of COVID was just a disease. It was
also trauma for a lot of people.
Oh, I agree. Everything that's happened with Trump over the last 10 years is entirely man-made.
Yeah.
Trump is the plandemic.
Yep.
He really is the problem. And he could not exist without the willing collaboration of 70 plus million Americans.
Right.
And the collaboration of the news media, and the collaboration of hate radio, and the collaboration of Republican officials, and the collaboration of centrists who want to pretend that both sides are the same and we can't judge and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
This is where I hold my breath and I pray.
Yeah.
Because we went through this already. Yeah. After the Iraq War, we said we will not let them get away with this. We're going to document the shit out of this. We're going to keep track of their tweets and their blog entries, and we're going to take pictures of them. And Jeffrey Goldblum is never going to, Jeffrey Goldberg is never going to get away with saying this because he told those people in New Orleans to grow fins, grow gills. They were fucking monsters. They were fucking awful people. We're not. And I went to sleep and I woke up and guess what happened?
Yeah, Goldberg is on CNN.
And Eric Erickson's respectable. Yep. All the worst Republican comms scumbags all have jobs in the mainstream media now.
Right.
And it doesn't. I don't want to have learned helplessness. I want to instead to have learned the lesson from that period, which is it is not enough to document and hope people will please don't do this. I think it starts with telling people in our own party. I think you're right. That's where the base has changed.
Yeah, the base has changed.
We, as a party, we as the people at the top of the party, our allies were way too willing to hand the microphone over to a bunch of ex-Republicans.
And to Liz Cheney. Yes, right.
To say, oh, no, they're our allies now. Let's let them do the talking. And that then because they know how to win elections.
That makes us look reasonable. Right.
It's also like that I've said before, the drunk prom queen, the drunk prom date who flings themselves at anybody who validates them. Like, oh, look, somebody who used to call me a shithead and a communist says Donald Trump's a bad person. He's my friend now.
Yeah.
They're my friends now. We can trust them. Give them the microphone. And once we're done with them, we'll take the microphone away because I don't understand how the fuck anything works.
Right.
Once you give up power, you have given up power.
Right.
And nobody's going to give it back to you.
Nope.
And that is a lesson I would hope Democrats learned from Iraq and from Obama.
Yep.
Which is these people will never give up until they are stomped into the ground. They don't understand anything but a boot on the neck. And
and I think some of these media outlets are getting a boot on the neck in terms of look how many people just walked out on Disney. Look how many people are boycotting Target. Look how many people are just not watching CBS News and are aware of what, CBS News did. And they're not going to reward they're not crossing the Starbucks picket line. There is a consciousness that has been raised, I think, stemming from anger and feeling impotent about things, saying, I got to do something.
Right.
So I'm going to vote with my pocketbook. Because apparently voting, in elections got me here.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah. For now, I'm going to vote with my pocketbook.
I'm going to vote with my pocketbook. I'm going to attend No Kings rallies.
Right.
I'm going to send postcards to voters. There's not a lot I can individually do, but I can join other people in my community and I can do stuff that makes a small difference where I live. And I can let people know where I live, like we are learning in our little neighborhood here.
We sure are.
There's all kinds of people that we interact with pretty regularly who we're discovering are pretty disgusted with the way things are.
Yep.
And I don't think they would have shared that with us 5 years ago.
No, things got that bad.
I think things are so starkly bad. Yep. And it all comes down to one party, one guy, and one bunch of fucking voters who did this.
And this is what Chris Murphy said. It's time to pick a fucking side.
Yeah. Well, now we have to go back to reality. Because when it came to the Iraq War and Abu Ghraib and torture, a couple of grunts got in trouble for torturing people. But other than that, everyone was let off the hook. Right across the board. They opted for the Peggy Noonan Protocol. In fact, John Yoo, who was the scumbag who conjured up that legal fiction about torture being okay, authorizing torture, he is currently the Emanuel S. Heller Professor of Law at the University of California, Berkeley. He should be ashamed to come out in public. Everyone should know his name and know that he's a monster. But he's the professor at Harvard or at Berkeley. Almost all of the bloodthirsty cheerleaders for the Iraq War, the worst of the worst, men like Bill Kristol and David Frum. Let's not forget who was a speechwriter. Michael Gerson, the late Michael Gerson, who was also a speechwriter and spent the entire Obama administration talking about what a racist Obama was and what a monster he was, and how divisive he was. He's not a fucking saint. I know that a lot of people on the right want to believe he is because he is the least bad of them. But he's one of those people that suddenly discovered when Trump was in office for 2 years that, hey, these right-wing evangelicals, I'm a right-wing evangelical, a lot of these guys are bad people.
They're racist. Oh, my God.
Yeah, these fucking clueless bubble dwellers. Anyway, David Brooks, Joe Scarborough, all either kept their very elite pundit gigs or they got promotions. They got better jobs. The ghouls who ran the Bush administration all found success in the private sector. And several, like Nicole Wallace, were hired into the very heart of the liberal media, where Nicole Wallace immediately went to work using her position to rehabilitate the reputations of still more Republicans, turning MSNBC into a laundromat for former Republicans who wanted to get in good with the liberals.
And of course, the biggest example of all was the fake Tea Party, which Driftglass wrote about at length back in 2010 as the fabulous Bush off machine. And we're going to use that again, Driftglass. The Trump off machine.
Yeah.
There will be several funded by billionaires.
Of course.
Looking to make it all better now, and we won't talk about the past. In one end goes a diehard pro-war, pro-Bush, pro-Cheney Republican. And out the other side comes an anti-war, independent, constitutional conservative. Say it with me now. I'm an independent.
Independent.
I never even heard of Bush or Cheney.
Who are you talking about? These are as we've talked about before, and I wrote about way back when, the German soldiers who burned their uniforms, pretend they were never there. And it took...
Never liked the tweeting, Driftglass.
And it takes a village, Blue Gal. It takes it takes the legacy media and a bunch of right-wing people seeded into the legacy media to all agree to let Republicans off the hook.
Yeah.
That has been the history of the last 50 years. Never hold Republicans responsible for any fucking thing. So when it comes to lifeboat building, taken all in all, it was the greatest amphibious exercise in getting people en masse from one place to another very different place since D-Day. And even though we liberal bloggers like you and I, Blue Gal, and many people we know, people that we talk to on a regular basis, people like Bob Seska and Brad Friedman and Digby and Desi Doyen, we were all pounding away at this giant lie they were selling day after day. We saw it happening in real time, and we all documented and wrote about it and jumped up and down and shouted about it. In the end, they got away with it because in the end, not enough people had the stomach for holding Republicans and the media accountable for anything.
And since the subject is lifeboats, we should probably talk about the meaning of lifeboat rules, since some of them do apply here. In moral philosophy, lifeboat rules describes a situation where harsh decisions might have to be made. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about torture at Abu Ghraib either.
No.
There aren't enough resources for everyone. There aren't enough seats on the boat. Of course, the kind of lifeboats we're talking about are metaphorical. And as the post-Iraq wholesale bulldozing of the past demonstrated, the save the GOP / save the media lifeboats apparently have unlimited seating capacity for former Republicans.
Oh, yeah. As long as you're willing to agree to forget the past, you are welcome here. And we will protect you. And we'll make sure you get a job and you get a book deal and you get a gig in major magazines where you can continue to promulgate your bullshit. But the idea that some have to be sacrificed in order that others may survive was very much in evidence after the Bush administration fell apart, and it is very much in evidence right now. Because while a real world lifeboat might be put together, nailed together out of anything that floats, this is why the ending of Titanic was ruined for me, Blue Gal. Because there was room enough on that piece of wood on that door for Jack as well. It was just bullshit. So I was with him the entire. How long was that movie? Like 17 hours long?
17 and a half hours.
Yeah. Up until the last minute. And then it was like, oh, crap, I can't buy it now because they let Jack drown. That's very unfair. So a real lifeboat you can put together out of anything that floats, floating jackets, whatever. The ones we're talking about, these accountability escape pods, those have to be assembled under conditions that rival a NASA clean room. Because as we mentioned, to get your lifeboat to float, you need validators, people to vouch for you, people who will lend whatever credibility they have to reputation rehab for you, to help you rehabilitate your reputation. Take, for example, it hurts me to say this, Blue Gal. Take, for example, a recent Steve Schmidt podcast featuring Matthew Dowd, the title of which was Why the Media is Complicit in Trump's Crimes Against America.
You are fucking kidding me.
No, I'm not. And what do those two people have in common? Well, I'll let you know in a few minutes. They have a lot in common.
I'm so glad to know that the media is complicit, Driftglass.
Yes, and these two heroes of the resistance are there to tell us.
They're going to tell us all about it. Okay.
Yep. And while I think we can all agree the media is definitely complicit in Trump's crimes against America, I can hardly think of two people less credible to discuss this than Schmidt and Dowd. Dowd, as you probably all know, was a veteran of George W. Bush's disgraceful 2004 reelection campaign. He was very, very proud of it until it turned into a bad thing. Then he had nothing to do with it. And Schmidt of the McCain 2008 campaign implosion, remember Sarah Palin? Both of these guys had their careers rebooted twice, thanks entirely to their relationship with MSNBC employee and fellow Bush administration and McCain campaign veteran Nicole Wallace. Like we said, she got in there and started rehabbing her friend's reputation as quick as she could. As some of you might know, I personally followed Matthew Dowd's relentless barrage of excuse-making, both sides do it bullshit, and vote third-party bullshit very, very closely. Back during the 2015 and 2016 campaign season and well into Trump's first year in office, Dowd was inexcusably reckless with the position of influence he was given and was doing real damage to the bullshit with the bullshit he was selling. It got to the point where, on Twitter, he actually insulted me personally and called my readers stupid.
Yep.
And, of course, then deleted all his tweets and blocked me and never spoke to me.
Yep.
Then, of course, once Trump turned out to be Trump, Dowd deleted his entire Twitter archives from that period and blocked anyone who mentioned the past. Then he started to sell a bunch of country over party merch because, country's more important than which party you're a part of on his website. Then he dabbled in running for office, and that was a failure. And then, thanks to Nicole Wallace, he reemerged on MSNBC as what, Blue Gal? As a two-fisted crusader against Matthew Dowd circa 2016, against the kind of both sides do a punditry that he was famous for, that he did so much damage to this country doing. And now suddenly he's just the opposite man without ever acknowledging he was ever anything else or had done anything else. He just emerged sort of full-blown out of Nicole Wallace's head like Athena from Zeus. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, with Schmidt, Dowd goes even further. Here he tells a story that he says he has never told before about how behind closed doors he was the real hero at ABC News. Also, I don't believe this story. I don't think you do either, Driftless.
Preserved in the amber of my blog are the text-only versions of Matthew Dowd's many, 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 many tweets, because he deleted them all. He just burned his past to the ground.
When you paste those markers in, it shows the content.
It does.
On your blog. It's the only place you can get them anymore.
I can tell you that well into Trump's first term, Matthew Dowd was still making excuses for Donald Trump, for Trump voters, that his fans are just a tiny subset of his voters. Let's give him a chance. Let's not dwell on the past. Let's not worry about the Hillary Trump thing. Let's move forward, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. He was also the guy who said the system needs to be disrupted.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We have disruption.
Right.
Trump was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do that. So he got all of his dreams come true. And when they turned into a nightmare, suddenly he decided that he didn't like his past anymore.
All right. So here's the story that Dowd tells on the Steve Schmidt podcast. I hate to do this, but you need to hear it.
It must be done.
It must be done. Quote, My feeling is, yes, we needed to have political conversations. And yes, we need to speak truth to power.
And I got to interrupt Blue Gal because it's kind of funny, because when I spoke truth to power, specifically to Matthew Dowd, he called me stupid and blocked me.
Uh-huh. And back to the new Dowd 2025. And all of those are important. And yes, we have to hold not only Trump and the Republicans accountable, we have to hold the media accountable in how they're doing it. I have a funny story I've never told anybody, Steve. And I don't think I've told you actually this privately. Right after Donald Trump took office in 2017, I was sitting with all the senior management and the anchors at ABC when I was chief political analyst at ABC, and I looked at this in an expectation of what he might do and all that. And I said, I think it would be really important to sort of have somebody here or people here understand how the press should cover a government in an emerging totalitarian state, how the press cover the governments in that. And when I said that, everyone at the table looked at me like I was from Mars. They looked and I was like, you know what? Like, that's what could easily happen here. And they were like, no, people were like, no, we're just going to go on about our business covering Republicans this and Democrats that and all the ways they do that. And I think the media and some members have been caught up. But I would say the Democratic Party, the leaders of the Democratic Party, and the leaders in the media have been in la-la land about what's going on for too long. Unquote.
Yeah. Let's just say this is what building a little lifeboat looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You find an old pal with an audience who will let you tell flattering, heroic lies about how awesome you were when no one was looking, and never ask any question or pushback at all. And you should look for a lot of that from Republicans once Trump is out of the picture. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a whole lot of secret heroes in the Republican Party that we're all going to learn about once Trump is out of the way. And this is where one of the lifeboat rules comes in, the one about deciding who to save and who will be left out. Because whether it's a Royal Caribbean Star of the Sea behemoth with room for thousands and features 7 pools and 9 whirlpools and a Category 6 water park and 21 bars and a miniature golf course and a casino, or it's a little 5-seat dinghy, the one thing you absolutely cannot do when you're building your lifeboat is let any goddamn know-it-all liberals who are hauling around receipts from the before time anywhere near the shipyard, because they will ruin everything with all their remembering stuff.
By now, you have all probably heard a million stories about soybean farmers and cattle ranchers who voted for Trump 3 times and are now in tears over how badly his insane trade policies are screwing them. Over the weekend, we talked with a friend of ours who is friends with a number of Illinois soybean farmers. And he asked one of them why he voted for Trump, knowing from experience that Trump's policies were probably going to screw him. I mean, this happened before.
Yes.
In the previous administration.
This is exactly what happened in the previous administration.
Why did you vote for him again?
Why did you vote for him 3 times, for God's sakes? Yep.
And the farmer told him, I had no choice.
Sit with that for a minute.
That's how bone
Just think
deep
about that.
40 years of relentless Fox News hate radio propaganda runs, out here and across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You think the scales are ever going to fall from the eyes of that 38%, that Sarah Palin floor, as I said on Blue Sky today? No, it's not going to happen. Instead, after Trump falls, they'll be shopping around for an alibi, a scapegoat, a new hero. Some excuse for why none of this was their fault. After all, they're not perfect. They're just forgiven.
They're forgiven, Blue Gal. They're not perfect. We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. Everyone on both sides of the aisle makes mistakes.
You're not perfect. I'm not perfect.
No one's perfect.
No one's perfect.
Really? So pickpocketing is the same as mass murder?
Yeah.
I didn't say that. Now shut up and go. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we know from previous experience they'll find plenty of ambitious demagogues and snake oil salesmen and media corporations who will be only too happy to sell them a seat on a lifeboat. Now, with all that in mind, consider this letter to us from listener Chris from Charlotte. Quote, Driftglass and Blue Gal. I have lived in Charlotte for 45 out of my 58 years. The city's population has jumped from 300,000 to 900,000 in that time. There were very few Hispanics here until the early 90s when the city started booming. A large part of Charlotte's growth was built on immigrant labor. I am absolutely horrified about what Trump's goons are doing to this city. You see all these awful videos and images, and I know exactly where most of them have been taken. There was one video of Customs and Border Protection, known as CPB, chasing a man through the woods, and people with whistles and cameras following them. The guy was selling flowers. He's at the same spot every weekend with buckets of flowers to sell. These cosplaying assholes, dressed like they're in Fallujah instead of Charlotte, are terrorizing my city. I work with an Asian man who was born here, not that that matters, who is afraid of getting abducted because of the color of his skin. There were protests at some local high schools that the school system allowed, and my child's school was one of them. It was going to be held in the bus parking lot, but the administrators moved it to the courtyard because they were afraid of CPB abducting students. Charlotte isn't within 100 miles of the border, so I don't know what CBP is even doing here. 30,000 kids stayed out of school Monday because of these goons. What is very concerning to me is that all that money that Trump's big, beautiful bill gave to ICE, they're in the process of hiring more knuckle-dragging goons who couldn't cut it as mall cops. I believe by next summer, what's going on in Charlotte will be happening in cities all over the country. Some kind of violence will occur, and that will give Trump the cover he needs to use the Insurrection Act and screw up with the midterm elections. I hope I'm wrong. I don't like conspiracy theories. They aren't going to stop with brown people either if this isn't stopped somehow. We've all read history books and know how this usually plays out. Unquote.
Thank you for that letter.
Yeah, very much.
Your Republican neighbors, colleagues, family members, and fellow congregants are responsible for all of this, for everything that's happened in the last 10 months and all the horrors Trump will inflict on this country over the next 3 years. They have blood on their hands that all the perfumes of Arabia should never be able to sweeten.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know where that quote is from, it's time to brush up your Shakespeare.
Out. Damned spot. Out, I say. 1, 2. Why, then 'tis time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie. A soldier and a feared. What need we fear? Who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand.
That was young Judi Dench as Lady Macbeth, who, like MAGA, is telling herself that she has no reason to be afraid because there is no one who can call our power to account. But murder will out. And after Trump falls, what Republicans fear most, a reckoning for all the evil that they have done, will create a huge seller's market for lifeboats. Media corporations won't want to alienate paying customers by shunning them as fascist, racist scum. Ambitious Republicans will still want to run for office looking at you, Marco Rubio, staying away from the Sunday shows. And so will still need Republican voters. And the lazy, stupid center, that lazy, stupid center, will become even more wildly overrepresented in the media and will insist that something both sides, and let us not look back, but look forward towards a united, whatever.
You all know the script. You all know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And our job is the minute it starts to bud on the tree, go after it.
Hack it off.
And I tell you, going after both sides do it lie has worked.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have seen the people now, they're still going to tell that lie, but now they pre-buttle it.
Yep.
They say, no, this is not, I'm not blaming both sides here. Then they blame both sides.
Both sides, yes.
But now they're aware of the fact they're being watched. And if they say it out loud, they're going to get slagged, at least on social media. And that enormous, dumb, centrist lifeboat will have meatheads like Joe Rogan steering it. This is from Mediaite. Quote, Trump voter Joe Rogan torches American politics as a total ruse with two corporate-backed parties. Joe Rogan may have endorsed President Donald Trump in the 2024 election, but the podcaster is sounding more like the past third-party voting Rogan these days. On Wednesday's The Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan was joined by actor Russell Crowe, who's promoting his new film, Nuremberg. And
Are you kidding me?
If that won't crack you up, especially given, I'll talk about it in a second. Yes, his new film, Nuremberg, about the Nuremberg trials. Early in the nearly 3-hour conversation, Rogan and Crowe both torched the influence of the two major political parties, Democrats and Republicans, in American politics. Rogan at one point declared American politics to be a ruse, unquote. So see, Blue Gal, it's both sides, baby. It's both sides.
I wonder how the makers of Nuremberg feel about the Coast Guard now treating the swastika as a totally neutral symbol.
I think actor Russell Crowe should stick to fucking acting and not open his pie hole about politics, unless you want to add a little fillip to Nuremberg. Like, really, both sides in Nazi Germany were pretty bad. You know,
both sides.
You know, the Allies and the Axis did some pretty terrible things, but the Allies did too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And guy just got done acting in a movie about fascism and doesn't recognize fascism when it's rubbing its dick in his face.
Right.
So stick to acting, Russell. You know, you're good at that. You're not good at this. You're bad at this.
And speaking of gathering the country together in a spirit of unity, we just wanted it on the record that neither Driftglass nor I, nor anyone at the Professional Left podcast, and there's only two of us, we're not on iHeartRadio like Steve Schmidt, by the way.
And a bunch of cats. We have cats.
Oh, we have some cats, yes.
And some wonderful kids. But none of it.
Wonderful kids, okay. But none of them, even the cats, attended Dick Cheney's funeral.
Nope. However, here's a caveat. We may drop by the gravesite in a few months for a little light tap dancing and urination. But that's just because Dick Cheney was a monster who should have been buried at the crossroads with a stake in his heart, just to be sure, Blue Gal.
But others disagree with you, Driftglass.
They do. Many
In addition to Joe Biden and every living American vice president except for J.D. Vance attending Cheney's funeral, per USA Today, quote, it was a bipartisan affair, all the way from politicians to pundits. Rachel Maddow, who has a political show on MS Now, was seated between Anthony Fauci, former chief medical advisor to the president, and former RNC chairman Ken Mehlman, who held the position under Bush's presidency in 2005. Next to Mehlman was James Carville, a Democratic political consultant. Photos posted on social media showed Maddow chatting with Mehlman and Carville. Both sides, Rachel.
You know, you've said this before, Blue Gal.
Yeah.
It's Politicon. It's
Politicon. It's a club.
It's you know, we all fight in public, and maybe we're sincere about that. But then we all get together in the huckster room to sell our merch side by side. We might shake hands. We might go to lunch with each other, dinner with each other, have drinks, because it's all very clubby. It's all very clubby and chummy. And,
Except I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Rachel Maddow got absolutely decimated by the right for hugging Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton after their debate.
Yeah. Yep.
Because she was so biased.
I remember when Rachel Maddow devoted an entire segment to torching Bill Kristol.
Yep.
As the wrongest man in politics. If you look in the dictionary, under the wrongest man in politics, you will find a picture of Bill Kristol. Yeah, why does this man have a job? Why is he? And now he's, now he's the leader of the. Now he's a welcome guest, a warm and welcome guest on MS Now, whenever he wants to drop by. This is what happens when you give up control of the narrative. Mm-hmm. I should say when you don't fight like hell for control of the narrative, and we didn't fight hard enough. People who should have known better gave up control of the narrative to people who, literally 5 minutes before, had been calling them communist, shitbag, crazy, immigrant-loving surrender monkeys for a living. And
I refuse to believe that it's just a game and that we can all just get along. Because what happens when it's just a game is people like us wind up with $2,500 a month health insurance bills that we can't pay.
Now, we didn't vote for that. We
did not vote for any of this. And neither did you out there. We know that.
But the MAGA farmers who are in tears over Argentina getting bailed out and then ripping off their markets from China because of
Asian
Trump's tariffs. Yep. And then let's import beef from Argentina to fuck up the cattle markets in this country. Those people voted for Trump 3 times. Yep. They are responsible for this. Period. Full stop.
They look in the mirror and tell themselves they didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice.
Because the choice was a chick.
Well, was
or a Democrat.
The woman who murdered Vince Foster and has a pedo thing in a pizza joint.
Yeah, right.
Or a very old man who's I can't trust him. Or a black chick. Yeah, can't vote for. They're all communists. Everyone knows they're communists, and that's because around here, if you want to listen to conservative radio, you have 2 stations to choose from 24/7. Want to listen to liberal stuff? You got to listen to goddamn professional podcasts because there is no liberal radio in Central Illinois.
Nope,
doesn't exist. So anyway, on that happy note,
we want to remind everyone about next week, the schedule. We will be doing a podcast on Tuesday.
Yep.
And on Wednesday, we will be on the Bob Cesca show.
What?
Yeah. What? Oh, you better put that down in your calendar.
Holy crap. I'm not ready for that. That's the big time. I'm not ready for that.
You're ready if Brad calls you tomorrow for a Friday afternoon show.
Well, come on. That's just us sitting around in our rocking chairs reminiscing about, remember back in 2005 when Ken Melliman was running the RNC?
You can just put a quarter in Driftglass and he can talk for an hour about politics.
I'll spit out crypto and soybeans. So
yeah. So you will get us twice next week,
whether you like it or not.
Tuesday and Cesca on Wednesday, and on Thursday we hope everyone has a very wonderful Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
Despite everything, we do have things to be grateful for, and we're very grateful for you guys and your support of this show and your support of us. And we're going to take next year one day at a time, $1 at a time.
Absolutely.
And figure out how to stay insured. We're going to do it because we have to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Each week we post to our Patreon page and website an Internet Kitty sent in by you, the listeners. This week's Internet Kitty is very special to us.
Yes.
This week's Internet Kitty is another Penelope, but this time it's our family's new kitty, Penelope.
Yes.
This is the 2 younger children. Penelope was rescued from youngest child's apartment parking lot. And it was agreed between the 2 of them, middle child and youngest child, that for now Penelope will live with middle child, who works pretty much from home and has a job and can afford sort of to pay the vet bills.
Yes.
Penelope is another black kitty, and we love black kitties. And we welcome her to our family. And of course, Penelope eats freshly poured cat food, our fake sponsor. Whether you serve Pet Store Perfection or Dollar Store Drek, your kitty will introduce themselves in the parking lot and then move right in and demand that the food they eat is only freshly poured.
Freshly poured, oh my
And you can visit Penelope at our Patreon page, patreon.com/proleftpod, or our website, proleftpod.com. And you can send your internet kitty, dog, or other pet to us at our email address, proleftpodcast@gmail.com, or you can also write to both of us. Feel free to write to us. We love hearing from you, obviously. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service, go Postal Unions, letter on the air unless you say otherwise.
Let me just add, I have a theory, since we're speaking of Buddhism, about Penelope.
Oh.
Because Penelope is a black cat who came up and introduced themselves in a parking lot, taken in by youngest child.
Yep.
Jake the cat, old Jake the cat, the mother, I named that cat Jake before we knew that cat's gender. That cat gave birth to 3 kittens, one of which I kept, and others we found good homes for. The immortal Zeppo came from Jake.
Oh, Zeppo, yes.
Yes. But Jake was a black cat who I was working for the city of Chicago. Very busy parking lot in the back of the building, a loading dock and many, many cars, lots of stuff. And the guys who work the docks had set up a little box to have this little kitten live out there. They couldn't bring it in the building. They couldn't take it home. But, this is a place where hundreds of people are walking in and out all day long. And I walk out to my car, and this cat walks straight up to me, bumps me in the leg with its head, looks up at me, and basically says, I am your cat now, and you are my person. Let's go. So, and Jake was a black cat who introduced himself or herself to me in the parking lot. I think Penelope might be a descendant or a reincarnated creature.
You don't know.
You never know.
And I do know that my mother has a very strong spiritual connection with the 2 younger kids.
Yes, that's very true.
And my mom was a big thrift store shopper. And when the 2 younger kids go to the thrift store and find something special or something that fits them perfectly.
Something amazing, yeah.
Something amazing. They come home, and my mom's name was Mandy, and they drop their bags and say, Mandy was with me. And middle child called me about Penelope and said Mandy was with us. Because Mandy was a cat hoarder also.
Yeah. Well,
and they had been talking about Grumps, Mandy's husband, who is now going to be 90 in February, and he's been having some health problems. And they were just talking on the phone from youngest child was in their car in the parking lot talking with middle child on the phone about Grumps. And they hung up, and Penelope walked over.
You're my person. You're my person now.
You're my person. And,
and
middle child said, Mandy did that. There's no doubt about it.
Which is a very sweet way to pass along the memory of a relative.
It is. That's what it is. It's not superstition. It's just, I know how much Mandy loved cats.
Exactly.
And dogs, but cats especially.
By the way, as many of you probably already know, Hal Sparks' father passed away.
Yeah.
And, we, of course, we love Hal, think Hal does the Lord's work. And, we're all mortal and we all pass away. And I'm glad he got to spend his last days with his son or sons, with his kids. But Hal's posting really nice pictures of Dad.
Yep. And I just felt for the times, the Saturday shows that Hal continued to do while his dad was home in hospice and Hal was there from, their home, Dad's home.
Yeah.
And shed the tears and told the stories and mentioned all the friends who were coming to visit and so forth. And this was a hospice situation. My mother went through hospice. Those are angels on earth. Hospice workers are just unbelievably amazing people.
Yeah.
And having gone through that myself, having seen that with grandparents and my mother, and hearing Hal's story about what he was going through, I really feel as though Hal's father's memory is already a blessing.
Exactly.
Because so many people who may not have had that experience yet got to see the pain and the joy and the humanity of what it is like to watch a parent leave.
Yeah. And what you said about you tell the stories.
Yeah.
My family was and is a big one for storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that writing prop. Remember when is just
Remember.
is an opening for people to just pour out stories about
Your
relatives.
family is real big on, hey, everybody, I did a dumb.
Oh yeah, we love talking about the dumb things we did. We rush to tell each other, I did a dumb. You know what I did today? I did a dumb. I put in 1 egg instead of 3, and it came out looking like gummy bears instead of lemon bars.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did that twice.
We were packing to go to one of the niece's weddings, and we were really trying to get out the door, and one of our cats peed in the suitcase.
Luggage. Yeah.
And you were really running around, and you were about to get really mad, and I looked at you and I said, this is such a great story to tell your brother.
Oh, yeah.
And your face brightened right up.
That is absolutely right. Absolutely right. But that's the other way we make our beloveds immortal.
Yeah.
Telling stories.
Yep.
You know what? Just ask Geoffrey Chaucer about making people immortal.
Yes, exactly.
Even if they're assholes. Even if they're making people immortal. Because, and this is, you know, this is the one of the very few virtues we have as a species. So we tell stories. Yeah. And sometimes they are factual, and oftentimes they are exaggerated, and sometimes they're just shit we made up. But we tell stories as a species. And not to just loop it back to what we do on this podcast, but we tell stories here. We think it's really important. You can go find people just machine gunning the day's events at you all day long, and that's fine. But it's really hard to understand why this is happening. Why are all these terrible things happening to this country all at once, all at the same time, with all the same authors? And so what we hope we can do is to surround that chaos in a story that's comprehensible and that you can take with you elsewhere and tell other people about why things are the way they are. And telling stories, again, about our beloveds after they've passed is a great way to keep them alive and to keep them vital and to let next generation know that, you know what, your grandparents were basically people.
Yeah.
And they had their flaws and they made mistakes, but they're also pretty cool. And here's some cool shit they did. And I think that's a blessing right there, that we can tell stories that last for a few years or 1,000 years or 3,000 years.
And my mom had failings, you know.
Yeah.
And could be difficult, and there were things about her I won't share, but when I think about my children taking the best parts of her.
Right, exactly.
And remembering and allowing that to enrich their lives. It's a lovely thing. And it is how she would want to be remembered as a cat-loving thrift store shopper.
Who was also an art expert, an artist in her own right.
Yeah, and she hated Andy Warhol.
She had a great eye
as a
for
person. Art. She hated Andy Warhol as a person.
But she had a great eye for art.
She did.
And a great eye for criticism. And she was an artist in her own right.
And she judged art shows and taught art and did. We didn't have a dining room table when I was through part of middle school. We had a printing press in the middle of our dining room. So that's.
Again, what a great story.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah,
now,
gotta eat someplace else, kids.
And now back to the crass commercialism of the Professional Left podcast. This is our friendly reminder about our gourmet coffee guidelines, which some of you have taken up by sending us coffee, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And some of you have chipped in $5, but you know we appreciate it all. And if you send us coffee, we're gonna drink it.
We're gonna drink it. Mm-hmm. And we are at the point. I'm sure many people are at the point where. With your budget and with your food budget, we're going through the freezer to see if we've got any bags of coffee stuck back there
I think
of beans that we can grind instead of buying, $18 can of coffee.
I think these are coffee beans. Let's grind them up and find out. Shall we, Luca? It might be frozen peas. I don't know, but let's give it a try. So if you're able to treat yourself to an espresso-based beverage, if you realize it's very dear in terms of price these days, we ask that you consider treating us to one as well. This isn't charity. This is exactly how we support the work we do and exactly how we make a living. This is our job. So if you can spare just $5 a month, we'd be very grateful for your support at patreon.com/ProLeftPod. And we also have Venmo options now too.
Venmo. And if you go to the Venmo app and look up Pro Left Pod, You will see a photograph of the both of us in that account.
Cool.
That shows you that you're at the right place. Mm-hmm. And you can Venmo us whatever, Facebook settlement money you've got sitting in there.
Lovely. And something you can do that doesn't cost nothing is share our show on social media. Everyone tells you to like and subscribe. We love you doing that. That's great. I watch a variety of YouTube videos on woodworking and movie reviews and all kinds of fun stuff. And I try to like and subscribe the ones I like and subscribe because they're very good. They put a lot of effort into them. But we'd ask, share us on social media. Introduce our podcast to a friend. They might get along. And thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, Drift Class, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties kept meticulous records of who's responsible for our current government, which is exactly why they'll never be invited on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Let's think about living. Think about living. Let's think about loving. Think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the popping and the lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright 2024-25, GGBG Productions.